are the only generation that sat in class, watched the spaceship, whatever the hell, take off, blow up right in front of our eyes, get no time to grieve, no time to cry, no time to process what just happened. We were just told to go to our next class. That is what sets Gen X apart. Y'all, don't forget, if you hear tap dancing in the background, it's just the Hines brothers. Roro Hines. My wife would kill me if she knew I was calling them the Hines brothers. But Roro Hines and Maurice Hines and Lulu Hines, they tap dance. That's what they do. They tap dance. Oh, Lord. And don't be like, cut their nails. We take care of our Frenchies. Their nails is cut. They just tap dance wherever they go. Cus was a general, and I was his soldier, and we were ready to go to war. I was this useless, Thorzined out nigga who was diagnosed as retarded, and this one white guy gets a hold of me and gives me an ego. Cus once said to me, Mike, if you were sitting down with a psychiatrist and they asked you, are you hearing voices? You're going to say no. But the voices are telling you to say no, aren't they? Cus was such a deep guy. No one ever made me more conscious of being a black man. My mother had told me I was crap. Nobody had ever said anything good about me. And here's this dude saying, I bet you, if you try, you could win an Oscar. You'd be just as good an actor as you'd be a boxer. You want to be a race car driver? I bet you'd be the best race car driver in the world. You're smarter and tougher than those guys. You could conquer any world. Don't use that word can't. You can't say can't. Are you scared of white people? He said out of the blue. Are you one of those kinds? You scared of mustaches and beards? I've been around black fighters who were scared to hit white people. You better not be one of them. It was funny. I had Cus in my face telling me not to be intimidated, but I was intimidated by the way he was telling me not to be intimidated. By the time I had moved in with Cus, I was already into the flow of his repertoire. He began to train me hard every day. I never had the privilege of enjoying boxing as a sport or as something to do for fun. Cus was an extremist, but I was just as extreme. I'm the kind of guy they make fun of. Don't give the ninja a rope. He'll want to be a cowboy. I was the kid who had no hope, but if you give me a glimmer of hope, you're in trouble. I take it to the moon. You better, boy. Cus normally had to wake the fighters up in the morning, but when he'd get up to do it, I had already come back from running. Cus would usually set the table for breakfast, but I started doing it after my run. He'd get mad. He made up my table. Who made up my table? He'd bark. He was upset that I showed more dedication than he did. Then Cus would cook me my breakfast. He'd throw in a whole slab of bacon, 20 or so strips into the frying pan, and then he'd cook the eggs in that bacon grease. I didn't drink coffee, so I'd have tea. He did that every morning if he was angry with me. I think both of us realized that we were in a race with time. Cus was in his 70s. He was no spring chicken, so he would constantly be showing all this knowledge to me. Shove all this shit in. If you keep shoving it in, you'll learn it, unless you're an idiot. I became very adept at boxing, but my maturity, my thinking ability as a human being didn't catch up with my boxing ability. I like that, Mike. I like that you're realizing what's happening, because a lot of people don't understand maturity. So the concern is sometimes when you're dealing with people, they're not intellectually mature. They lack maturity. They could be so far accomplished, but they just think on a 13-year-old level. How the hell do you get this position? Maybe 15. How does that happen? You got a whole degree, a whole family, and you don't know how to assimilate yourself properly into the universe because your intellectual maturity is at the level of a 13-year-old. I was an extremist. If we got snowed in, Cus trained me in the house. At night, I'd stay up for hours in my room, shadowboxing. My life depended on succeeding. If I didn't, I would just be a useless piece of shiz. Plus, I was doing it for Cus too. He had a tough life with a lot of disappointments. So I was here to defend this old Italian man's ego and pride. Who the F did I think I was? I love it. I love it, baby. Cus knew how to make me feel like I could conquer the world. But he also knew how to make me feel like shiz. Sometimes he'd tell me, you allow your mind to get the better of you. That was his secret, unwritten code way of saying, you're a weak piece of shit. You don't have enough discipline to be one of the greats. The greats could fight the best fight of their life even if someone had just kidnapped their child or killed their mother. Damn. That's a lot. But he is a Gen Xer. Goddamn. Is he? I don't know. Is he a baby boomer? I don't know. That's a lot. But that's the kind of stuff that Gen Xers do. Let me tell you something why Gen Xers act the way they do. Why the way we do. But we are the only generation that sat in class, watched the spaceship, whatever the hell, take off, blow up right in front of our eyes, get no time to grieve, no time to cry, no time to process what just happened. We were just told to go to our next class. That is what sets Gen X apart. From the first night I moved in with Cus, he started to break me down, see how far he could fuck with me for no reason. He'd come to my room and say, what did you do in school today? What did you do? Well, you had to do something. You were in school all day. What did you learn? Where's your homework? Do you have homework today? The other guys in the house would always say that Cus favored me, but they didn't know what he was saying to me when we were alone. I don't see anything wrong with what he said. What he say was wrong. Where the fuck is your homework? Sometimes Cus would reprimand me, and I'd have no idea why. He would rip into me, put down my character. You can never reach the apex of what we're aiming for with your infantile behavior and conduct. At times, I'd just scream, I hate everybody here. Ah! Cus was tearing me apart. You need that. You need that. It gives you discipline, and it's a way to make you tough. That's why us Gen Xers are so motherfucking tough. Because that's how our parents talk to us. Get your lazy bum ass up. I don't give a fuck if you on your period. Get your lazy bum ass up. Ma, I think I broke my arm. Nobody cares about your arm. Go in the refrigerator, take that Father's John, castor oil guppy stuff, and get your ass to school. Boy, I'm telling you, y'all wouldn't be able to take it. I was getting so many mixed messages that I was becoming insecure about how he really felt about me as a boxer. Tom Petty and I once were leaving the gym, and Cus was delayed for a second. Tom Petty is one of the people in the house with him at Cus' house. So I jumped into the back seat and crouched down. Tell Cus I walked back home because when he gets in the car, I want you to ask him how he really feels about me. Tom agreed. Cus got in the car. Where the hell is Mike? He said. I think he's staying in town, Tom said. Well, let's go. He can find his way home later. So we started driving, and I was lying in the back whispering to Tom because Cus was half dead and couldn't hear anything. Yo, Tom, ask Cus if he thinks I punch hard, I said. Okay, this is his maturity level. You know, I know you like, why would he do that? Don't forget he's still a teenager, and he admits that he has some maturity issues. Yo, Tom, ask Cus if he thinks I punch hard, I said. Hey, Cus, you think Mike punches hard? Tom asked. Punches hard? Let me tell you something. That guy punches so hard he could knock down a brick wall. Not only does he punch hard, he punches effectively. He can knock a fighter out with either hand, Cus said. We've seen it happen. Cus, if he thinks I can really be something in the future, I whispered. Tom repeated the question. Tommy, if Mike keeps his head on straight and focuses on the intended purpose, he'll become one of the greatest fighters, if not the greatest fighter in the history of boxing. I was thrilled to hear that. By now, we were at the house as we got out. Cus saw me lying down in the back seat. You knew he was back there, didn't you? He said to Tom. Tom pleaded innocence. Don't hand me that nonsense. You knew he was back there. You guys are a couple of wise guys right now. Let me tell you something. Cus didn't think it was funny, but we did. I'll never forget my first amateur fight. It was a small gym in the Bronx owned by a former Cus boxer named Nelson Cuvas. Right before my fight, I was so scared that I almost left. I was thinking about all that preparation that I had undergone with Cus. Even after all the sparring, I was still totally intimidated with fighting somebody in the ring. What if I failed and lost? I had been in a million fights on the streets of Brooklyn, but this was a whole different kind of feeling. You don't know the guy you're fighting. You have no beef with him. I was there with Teddy Atlas, my trainer, and I told him that I was going down to the store for a second. I went downstairs and sat on the curb by the steps leading up to the subway. For a minute, I thought I should just get on the damn train and go back to Brownsville. But then all of Cus's teaching started to flow into my mind, and I started to relax. And my pride and my ego started popping up, and I got up and walked back into the gym. It was on. I was fighting this big Puerto Rican guy with a huge afro. He was 18, 4 years older than me. He fought hard for 2 rounds, but then in the 3rd round, I knocked him into the bottom rope and followed with another shot that literally knocked his mouthpiece 6 rows back into the crowd. He was out cold. God damn, that Mikey Tyson! Tyson was doing these things called smokers. That's where he beat that Puerto Rican dude up at, a smoker. It's like unofficial, how did he describe it? Smokers were unsanctioned bouts, which basically meant that they were lawless. Those smokers meant so much to me, a lot more to me than the rest of the kids. The way I looked at it, I was born in hell, and every time I want to fight, that was one step out of it. The other fighters weren't as mean as I was. If I hadn't had these smokers, I probably would have died in the sewers. I won all my regionals, so Teddy and I flew to Colorado, and Cus took a train because he had a fear of flying. When I entered the dressing room, I remembered how all my heroes had behaved. The other kids would come up to me and put out their hand to shake, and I would just sneer and turn my back on them. I was playing a role. Someone would be talking and I just stare at them. Cus was all about manipulating your opponent by causing chaos and confusion, but staying cool under it all. I caused such chaos that a few of the other fighters took one look at me and lost their bouts so they wouldn't have to fight me later on. I won all my fights by knockouts in the first round. I won the gold by knocking out Joe Cortez in 8 seconds, a record that I believe stands to this day. I was on my way.
Right.